Hey there, John here, and I'm back. So I just heard about a thing called Vlogmas, which is a challenge to upload a vlog every day during the month of December. Now, this is something that I haven't done in quite a while, but it's something that I used to do, and it's a challenge with a time limit, so it's something that I think I may be able to be consistent enough with to stay afloat and get this thing done. No guarantees, but we'll see how good I do. Also, it seems like a good enough excuse to come out of my vlog hibernation and get back into making these videos, so let's give it a shot. So we could do with a quick update. There has been a lot of things going on in my life, thus the reason why there hasn't been too many videos, which seems like it should be the opposite because I should be making videos talking about the things going on in my life. That seems like an obvious solution. When last we spoke, I was doing a show in Long Beach, which has long since closed, and in doing that show I have realized that the act of myself being a part of a theater performance is really a drain on my schedule, and that's not something I should really do a lot. But then also, I found out that a local theater that I've worked with multiple times was doing the Addams Family musical. Now, I knew a couple of things. First of all, the plot of the show is not something that I'm super fond of, but it's a good enough show, it's entertaining. I also knew that I was not going to be up to the task of performing in the show, partly because of the time commitment, partly because of it's basically opera, and that's not something I'm technically good at. And most importantly, I knew that this is a show that relies heavily on puppetry. There are a few effects that need to be done with puppets that can't, by definition, be done by humans, so I wanted to do that. So I made that known and I said, hey, I would love to sign up to do some puppetry for this show. And they said, sure, why don't you do that? So all I had to do was show up for the tech week of the show and then show up for the run of the show itself. And I got to play some tentacles and a bird on the windowsill and Thing, which is literally sticking my hand through the curtain. It was a really, really fun experience. Outside of that, I have also dived heavily into the world of Dungeons and Dragons, which is something that I used to play 6 years ago in college and haven't really played since, mostly because of the fact that I didn't have a group to play with. But then a friend of mine got me hooked on a show called Stranger Things, which relies heavily on the lore of Dungeons and Dragons and shows kids playing it, and really just made me interested in looking into what it would take to join one of these groups. So I googled and I looked up a directory of gaming stores that play Dungeons and Dragons, and I found one that's literally 5 miles from my work that meets once a week. So I walked up without having anything prepared and asked how to join one of the games. And the guy at the table said, well, you talked to me and you asked how to join one of these games. Do you have a character? I said, no, but I like wizards. And he's like, here you go. And he handed me a pre-made wizard. And that's what I've been playing for the last couple of months. And it's looking like pretty soon me and some of the other people from the 925 Podcast Collective are going to be making a Dungeons and Dragons podcast. So if that actually ends up happening and we find a time when all of us can get together and play, look for that coming up soon. Speaking of podcasts, in the next couple of days, we are very close to having an ebook of the Backstories podcasts, which you will be able to download and read with your eyeballs instead of just listening with your earballs. So I've heard a few people say that it's much easier for them to do that than to listen, and now you're going to have your chance. And of course, there are some other things happening in life that are a little bit more private, but hey, I'm going to be doing my best to spend the next 30 days making videos, talking about life, talking about stuff, whatever pops into my head, and hopefully it goes somewhat well and it's something that people end up enjoying at least a little bit. So with that, I'm going to sign off for now, and I'm going to see you tomorrow. Toodles.